Howdy folks, I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
And here's some Reddit. Alright folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Covering Up Cameras in the Living Room, Bedroom, and Bathroom in My Husband's Family Home? I recently got married, and we've recently moved into my husband's family home. It's a big house on a farm in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful but slightly creepy because of how old and run down and secluded it is. The people who live here in this house are myself, a 24-year-old female, my husband John, a 37-year-old male, my brother-in-law, a 38-year-old male, and his wife, a 25-year-old female, my older brothers and son-in-law, 42-year-old male and a 26-year-old male, and my father-in-law, a 60-year-old. I'm a stay-at-home wife, hopefully, mother soon, we're trying, and my sister-in-law and I are responsible for the house while the guys work on the farm. It's a very traditional family, something that I wasn't quite used to. Well, within a few days, I noticed that the house, including our bedroom, living room, and bathroom, had cameras installed. It made me extremely uncomfortable, and I confronted my husband about this. He told me that it's for safety and not to worry about it. I questioned the cameras in the bathroom, and he said that those were just fakes and to drop the subject. I did because his tone told me that he didn't want to discuss it further. But the cameras kept bugging me, and after a few days, I covered them up. I felt weird being under constant camera presence. When my husband got home, he asked me to come to our bedroom, and he was furious. He started shouting at me. I had no right to change anything in his family home. He said that he already told me to ignore the cameras. I questioned the cameras again and explained how they made me feel, but he asked me if I didn't trust him. I said that I did trust him. And then he asked me if I trusted his family, and I said that I did.
You shouldn't.
Then he said, see, there are no problems then. Only family has access to these cameras. I tried telling him that it wasn't better, but he told me to never touch the cameras again and stop being a problem. The next morning, no one would talk to me, including my sister-in-law. When we were alone, she told me to stop making a mess and that she can't talk to me as a punishment for being disrespectful. She told me to stop being a jerk and listen to John and not get her involved in my marital problems. I don't think that I was being a jerk. I only tried to express my feelings and that this made me feel uncomfortable, but everyone in the house thinks that I'm in the wrong and I'm confused. Am I really the jerk for covering up the cameras? And P.S. My apologies for any mistakes. English isn't my first language, and I'm typing this on a phone, and my autocorrect can get weird sometimes. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk, but OP, get out of there. You are in a horror movie right now.
Yeah, I mean, this sounds like the plot of a horror movie more than anything. It sounds like a perfect place to isolate and, quarantine you off from the rest of the outside world. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were additional things that happened to force you to have cut contact with the outside world.
Yeah, well, everything about the situation is really troubling. Like, there is no good reason to have those cameras in the bedrooms and bathrooms. I would understand if they had a camera monitoring the front door or something, but there's no good reason for those ones. And he says, well, do you trust me? You don't have to want everyone in your husband's family seeing you in intimate moments.
Yeah.
Because that's what is going to get caught on camera.
Well, and that's just it, is that this is just a huge breach of privacy. You do not have to be in a household that records your every move, OP, and I understand that you're recently married, and trying to be a mother, but I would reconsider that seriously, and I would consider contacting family or friends and or a domestic abuse hotline in whatever country you're in to get the help that you need in order to escape the situation.
Yeah.
Because this is certainly not a normal situation.
No, it's not normal. It's not healthy. And your husband is already being verbally abusive toward you. I would not be surprised if he becomes more abusive. I mean, they're all shunning you and giving you the silent treatment for covering up cameras.
Yeah.
Like, what happens the next time you step out of line?
Yeah, exactly. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And OK Caterpillar 7770 says, you have moved into a cult compound, and if you're smart, you'll stop trying to have a cult baby, or you'll never be rid of these people. Note also the huge age difference between your husband and the wives, who question yourself more easily than people who have seen this before. Run away, not the jerk. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Scolding My Husband Who Was Using My Breast Milk in His Tea? I'm a 29-year-old female, and I gave birth to my little girl 3 months ago, and I recently would pump her breast milk that I would cool down in a cooling bowl. And it would always seem to lessen in measurements when I left the room. So I hid a camera behind the microwave facing the breast milk bowl. And I would find that my husband, a 32-year-old male, was using it and adding it to his tea before work. I felt sickened. I couldn't believe my eyes, so after seeing the footage, I waited until the next morning to catch him in the act. He was pouring it when I walked in and tried to quickly hide what he was doing, until I showed him the video. He told me that it tastes way better than whole milk, and that it has a motherly taste to it. I was grossed out, to say the least. I told him that I didn't pump breast milk for him, and that he should have whole milk like a normal human being. He just acted annoyed, like I did something bad. I asked him how he even tasted it in the first place, and he informed me that he was curious, and it's not the first time he's had breast milk. I just scolded him completely and told him that it was already frustrating to pump for the baby, and now I find out that he was pumping for his tea to have some extra motherly taste. He was telling me to relax and informed me that I was overreacting and being melodramatic. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. You're pumping to feed your child, not your husband.
Yeah, the thing is this. If he enjoys breast milk, that's fine. I'm not saying that he should be shamed for this, but however, this is not something that he should have asked you before doing this and to see if this was all right, right? This is, I think, a violation of what your intent with that breast milk was.
And it's a violation of your boundaries and consent. I mean, some people have pointed out that it sounds like it might be a fetish for him, and especially where he says he's tried it before. Like,
yeah. So, I mean, I think that this certainly does walk into like some gray area for sure, especially with consent on that, because this is, again, OP's has produced this, and it's something that she should have control over because she is the one who pumped it, right? It's come from her.
Yeah, well, and that's an important thing. It's like, regardless of his intentions, even if he just really likes the way it tastes, like, it's still your bodily fluid, and you have a right to determine what happens with it.
Yeah. So I really think that he needed to talk, and he knew what he was, and I just want to add that I think he knew that he was doing would weird you out, because he immediately started to pretend like he, didn't have anything happen, right? So I think that was actually a kind of an admission of guilt in some ways. Where I do think that the main issue with the way OP handled this was the camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say that planting cameras in your house secretly is never a good idea. I know you wanted to figure out what was going on, but like, there had to be a better way.
Well, she could have just walked out of the room.
And then like walked back in, or like waited around the corner or something.
Yeah. So clearly you had your suspicions that your husband was doing this. I think the thing you should have done is confronted him and or just waited and turned around really quickly to see what he was doing, right? So, no, I don't necessarily think that OP's a jerk, but I do think that using the camera was a bit disconcerting. I don't think that should have been a first course of action. But yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. Fourth comment says, not the jerk, you're pumping breast milk for your baby, not your husband. He's not your baby, so he has no need to drink your breast milk. He's being sneaky about it because he knows that he doesn't have your permission and he knows it's wrong. And Westbridge 1157 says, how dare he disregard your time and effort to have stored breast milk for your baby and not see that he's way out of line here. You're underreacting, OP. I fed our baby for years and would have absolutely been livid to have my husband steal from the baby and then gaslight me. I mean, that actually is an unfair point about it being gaslighting, because again, like, the definition of gaslighting is convincing someone that what they're seeing isn't happening. So if OP had talked to him in the past about this, and he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, then that could actually qualify as gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Ember's got a joke.
How are money and secrets alike?
Money and secrets are alike because they both grow on trees. They grow on the money secret tree, the secret money tree. And so, if you ever find the secret money tree, then you'll have it made.
They are both hard to keep.
They're both hard to keep. I suppose so, unless you're a billionaire, in which case it's impossible to spend all of your money in a lifetime. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving it a like. And if you didn't, consider giving it a dislike. Happy Monday. I hope you're all having a great start to your week, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.